It's D-Day for Dr Nandipha Magudumana as the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court is expected to hand down a verdict on her bail application. She argued in court that she was taken against her will and this was out of the country by rapist and murderer Thabo Bester, as she is not a flight risk. She's accused of assisting Bester escape from prison alongside 11 others. She is a fit candidate for bail. Well, that's the question that we're going to have to ask today, because the court is going to come to that decision today. That's the key announcement. Let's find out from Mnisi, who's going to take us back on some of the arguments that have been had in court. Linda, good morning to you. Let's start with what the final arguments really pressed on, and perhaps you can indicate for us whether or not Dr. Magudumana is a person that will likely get bail.
Well, you'll remember this is a Schedule 5 bail application, and there are requirements that need to be met in order for one to qualify for bail if you're charged, of course, with Schedule 5 offences. Pardon me. And that's exactly the minimum requirements that were applicable in this bail application for Dr. Nandipha Magudumana. Here, you'll remember the onus is on her to prove in a balance of probabilities that the interests of justice permit that she be granted bail. And some of the things that she has to answer to is whether or not she will evade trial, or whether or not she will interfere with witnesses, and whether or not there won't be any public disorder should she be granted bail. You'll remember her argument was that she was taken out of the country against her will by Facebook rapist and murderer Thabo Bester, and that if you look at her passport, she had travelled about 23 times prior, of course, to her arrest, and all of those were recorded on her passport. She says there's an exception with this incident which was found in Tanzania, and that is because she was taken out of the country against her will. But she's also argued on the very same issue of the schedule that looking at the evidence that the state has brought in opposing this bail application, it seems as though the monies that are listed in the affidavit by the investigating officer do not meet up or do not meet the threshold that is required for a Schedule 5. In other words, for a corruption or fraud case, both the monies that are listed there are falling below the threshold, and therefore she is convinced that she is arguing here a Schedule 1 offence. Essentially, what that means is that if she gets her way, Poli, it would then have put the state, or the onus would then be shifted to the state to prove why she's not a fit candidate to bail. She's provided an alternative address, which is a home that is that belongs to a friend of hers who is a doctor. She is a Zimbabwean national, but also obtained permanent residency in South Africa in 2018. The state saying it's very uncomfortable with the fact that, she is a Zimbabwean national, but also looking at the background, Poli, the allegations, you'll remember, that she had gone and taken out a vehicle to Zimbabwe and left it there. That matter still under investigation. So the state saying that they're pretty uncomfortable with this arrangement that she's made. So they've opposed bail, saying that she's not a fit candidate. But after, of course, those closing arguments, the defense saying that, well, the state did not come with enough evidence to back up all the claims that they're making, and therefore it makes her a fit candidate for bail.
Linda, quickly as we let you go, what time is that verdict expected this morning?
We're expecting proceedings to get underway, just after 9 o'clock, but knowing, the delays that we often see in this court, it may start a little bit later than that, but the expectation is that from 9 o'clock, any time after 9 o'clock, this court will start delivering that verdict. So it's going to be quite interesting looking at how it's going to play out and what exactly the magistrate makes of the arguments or the submissions that were made both by the defense as well as the state.
Linda Mnisi live for us there in the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court, and a very comprehensive update indeed, taking us back to some of the key arguments that came out of that particular court case.